I'm calling to order this meeting of the Silver City Town Council. Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and welcome to all of you tonight. The next item on the agenda is changes to the agenda. Do any of the councilors want any changes to the agenda?
Mayor?
Councilor Bedington?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to remove item 12, new business E, from the agenda.
And we have a motion to remove item 12E from the agenda. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 12E is removed from the agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Amon Smith?
Mr. Mayor, I move to remove item, I'm sorry, that was the same one. I just had drawn the circle around the wrong letter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our auditor, Mike Stone with Stone, McGee and Company, has requested that his audit report be moved up on the agenda so that he can get back to the office during the tax season when they're really busy, and I would like to accommodate his request. If there are no objections, I would like to move agenda item 12A under new business, the approval/disapproval of the Town of Silver City audit report for financial year ended June 30, 2017, to immediately follow public input. If there are no objections, I would like to do this.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, so moved. Next item on the agenda is proclamations, and we have two tonight. First, since the month of April 2018 is Fair Housing Month, I would like to recognize this with a proclamation. And second, August the 27th through 29, 2018 is Continental Divide Trail Days. So I would like to recognize both of these with a proclamation, and I'll begin with the Fair Housing Month. So if those who are here for that proclamation, if you'll come to the podium. Whereas, fair and equal housing is a right guaranteed to all Americans, and whereas the principle of fair and equal housing is not only a national law and policy, but a fundamental human entitlement, and whereas all citizens have the right to live where they choose within their financial means, and whereas people must not be denied housing because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or family status. And whereas the Town of Silver City acknowledges the importance of assuring fair and equal treatment to all citizens. And whereas the Town of Silver City, the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments, and the Silver City Regional Association of Realtors will supply fair housing information to the public, and the town will display fair housing proclamation at the City Hall Annex. And whereas the Town of Silver City, the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments, and the Regional Association of Realtors is committed to highlighting the Fair Housing Law, Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, by continuing to address discrimination in our community, to support programs that will educate the public about the right to equal housing opportunities, and to plan partnership efforts with other organizations to help assure every American to their right to fair housing. And whereas the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics commits all realtors to providing equal professional services without discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, family status, handicap, sexual orientation, gender identity, and national origin. Now, therefore, I, Ken Ladner, Mayor of the Town of Silver City, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2018 as Fair Housing Month, and urge all citizens to participate in appropriate activities to commemorate this event. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Would each of you come up and identify yourself, and who am I going to present this to? You, okay. And would you like to say a few words, and anyone else who would like to say something?
Thank you, Mayor Ladner. We appreciate the Town of Silver City issuing this proclamation in partnership with the Southwest Council of Governments, the Realtors Association, the Town of Silver City, Grant County, I'm trying to remember all the, City of Baird, City of Hurley, Village of Santa Clara, Southwest Council of Governments. We are all putting together, or we have put together a housing poster contest for 7th and 8th graders in Grant County, and we're asking them to use the theme, Their Housing Opens Doors. We will be giving prizes to students who participate in this contest. If you have any questions, it's been publicized in the paper, or contact any of the sponsors. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Priscilla? Yeah.
Good evening. I'm Priscilla Lucero. I'm the director of the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments. I really just wanted to emphasize how important this proclamation is, not only in the respects of making sure that, our families have decent, safe, and affordable housing, but also because it's so critical to the funding that we receive in these communities. And this is one of those mandates that's required from HUD to be able to receive the many monies that we receive in this community. So that's also a very important piece of why we're here today. Thank you.
Sissy, you want to say something?
I'm Sissy McAndrew, and I'm the 2018 president of the Realtors Association here in Silver City and Grant County. And I just wanted to mention that fair housing is something that really helps us to build strong neighborhoods and to help grow our community. So we really appreciate the proclamation and helping to educate the public that this is good for everybody concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good month.
Thank you.
Whereas in 2014, the town council issued a proclamation recognizing the honor of Silver City's designation as the first gateway community of the Continental Divide Trail. Whereas Grant County provides magnificent outdoor recreational opportunities, including walking, bicycling, hiking, and horseback riding, which appeal to an ever-expanding number of residents and visitors. And whereas engaging in regular outdoor activity is known to improve health and well-being, our trails are beautiful, valuable, and freely accessible. And whereas educational activities, including workshops and seminars, as well as amusement and industry events, are scheduled for April 27 through 29, 2018, to celebrate and promote the trails and greenways of Silver City and kick off the 2018 Continental Divide Trail Days through hike season. And whereas we encourage residents to participate in the scheduled Continental Divide Trail Days activities. Now, therefore, I, Ken Ladner, Mayor of the Town of Silver City, do hereby proclaim April 27 through 29, 2018 as Continental Divide Trail Days, and urge all citizens to make recreation on local trails a priority activity for themselves and their families. Might want to get a picture here. Mr.
Sorry.
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Jenny Gang. I am the Gateway Community Coordinator for the Continental Divide Trail Coalition, and I am so pleased to be appearing here for the second year in a row, accepting this proclamation. 2 years ago, I arrived in Silver City as just a girl carrying a backpack. And attending the Trail Days Festival helped give me the confidence I needed to take a shuttle down to the Mexican border and start a 2,700-mile hike to Canada. 1 year ago, I arrived in Silver City as a new staff member of the Continental Divide Trail Coalition and as an AmeriCorps volunteer here to serve the community. This time, I was tasked with planning the Trail Days Festival. And it was daunting, but I quickly learned that here in Silver City, all you have to do is ask for help and people will be falling all over themselves to assist you. I'm particularly grateful for the help of Raul Torrieta, without whom Trail Days would not be such a great success. I'm also grateful to the members of this council for having the foresight to recognize the value that the Continental Divide Trail brings to Silver City, both economically and culturally. Silver City was designated our first gateway community in 2014. It is our flagship community, and it's set a very high bar for the 10 other communities that have followed. As we continue to grow, it's infinitely valuable that we have partners like the town of Silver City who are so invested in our mission. So thank you for this recognition here today. I hope to see all of you out on the trail. As some of you may know, my one-year AmeriCorps term has ended and I will be leaving the position. So I would like to introduce to you Dan Roper, the new Gateway Community Coordinator for CDTC.
Well, thanks, Jenny, Mayor, and everyone else here today. I just wanted to take a second just to introduce myself. I'm brand new to Silver City as of Sunday night, I believe, so I'll keep it really brief and just say I'm really looking forward to engaging with stakeholders in this town and continuing a lot of the work that Jenny's been doing and others like Raul have been involved with. So I'm happy to be here and look forward to engaging more in the future. Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is council comments. Councilor Amon Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two comments, one about an upcoming event and the other more of a policy comment. First is that the Attorney General's office offers sunshine law trainings to the general public as well as to elected officials and town staff. And there will be such a training here in Silver City on April 26th, 2018 this year, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the Global Resource Center over on Western New Mexico University campus. The two topics that there will be an opportunity to go over and ask questions about and really delve into are the Open Meetings Act and the IPRA, the Public Information Act. And I really encourage citizens to go. Last time that they gave this training, it was really well attended, and I learned a lot. And I wouldn't say it's enjoyable, but it's informative. Oh, right, 'cause I didn't write down the contact. Do you have the contact? You know what, you can contact Ann Mackey, our magnificent town clerk. She has all of the information, and she can help you RSVP if you're interested in going, or if you have any questions about it. Is that okay, Ann? Yeah, she's nodding. Okay. I want to say a few words here, sort of as a information and exchange with the public. I want to talk about resolutions and what they are and are not. Here in the town of Silver City, we see a resolution as being a formal declaration or stated intention of the town council concerning a subject that's important to us and is usually a subject of something that we're going to be doing. So, for example, this year we've passed resolutions on adopting a fair housing policy, on authorizing a Trails and Open Space Advisory Committee, our own Open Meetings Act resolution that says how we are going to be doing open meetings. They're instructions to us, and as such, they are binding to all of us. Another infrequent but appropriate use of resolutions is to express the opinion of this governing body on a certain issue to another level of government. Now, we do this very rarely. It's, just a few times in my time on the council, but the most recent one was Resolution 2018-8, in which we supported a particular New Mexico House bill. Usually these kinds of expression resolutions are about an action that's in our legislature, sometimes beyond. One of the most vivid memories I have when I was doing some of the New Mexico Municipal League training was having the league attorney, Randy Van Fleck, standing in front of the class, wearing his bow tie, and exhorting us to not be swayed by passions to begin passing what he called symbolic or feel-good resolutions. He even sang sort of a little song. He said, "Oh, counselors, beg your colleagues not to do what Santa Fe has done. Don't spend your time in taxpayer money and symbolic resolutions." I hope I did that well for you, Randy. So I just want to say, every month I get such requests for what I would see as being symbolic resolutions. The people have asked me for resolutions to have Silver City sign the Paris Climate Accord, for a resolution urging the purchase of land by the National Forest, for a resolution to change the name of a federal holiday that the town doesn't even celebrate, for a resolution to support end-of-life choices, for a resolution supporting transgendered persons in the military. Even if these are issues that I might have a personal value of positive for, I don't see them as being appropriate in the scope of binding resolutions that we use in the town. And I wanted from the bench to explain why it is that I decline such resolution requests. So thank you all.
Thank you. Councilor Bedison?
Thank you, Mayor. For those of you who don't know, today it was announced that the administration has placed on the U.S. Census for 2020 the question, are you a U.S. citizen? So I think on the 16th of March, I explained how this is problematic because it will likely result in an undercount for our state, which results in the undercount of the people that we serve. It's not just residents that we count, it's people we serve in our state, in our county, in our municipalities. So it will affect funding for things like Medicaid, the child, I can't remember what CHIP stands for, but that's what it is. It's for food and health care it will affect representation potentially in the state of New Mexico. The congressional folks at the New Mexico Municipal League Executive Committee and other municipal leaders in the state of New Mexico stated that there's a potential for us losing one representative in the House of Representatives. It will change voting districts. We could even potentially lose a local state senator seat that covers our area because all the lines will be redrawn, or they'll be redistricting. So it's this combined with the fact that it's not going out to U.S. post office boxes, that many of you may have in rural areas or even in town, like I personally have one, even though I live in town. This can result in undercount that it can impact us at all levels, from the municipal level all the way up to the state level, and to the representation of everybody that we serve in this area and in the state. So there is no way to withdraw this question. It's going to be a matter of whether people are going to answer it or not. And I understand, because I heard it when I was coming in today, that California is suing. I know that, could you give me the name, Councilor Cano, of the group that you went to?
NAREO, which is National Association of Latino Elected Officials.
They are planning to sue across, together. And I think it's an opportunity to, and I've already mentioned to our senator and state senator and to our representatives that we may be requesting, independently, people may be requesting that the Attorney General look at joining this, any lawsuit that might be brought. It seems to be targeted at the West primarily, but I would just tell you that it's not just a Democratic versus a Republican issue, although that's what the pundits are saying. It's about Democrats being concerned. There are also a number of Republicans that in Congress that are also upset about this, because it could cause losing representation as well. So it's not necessarily the party, it's about the number of seats that represent the people we serve at the national, at the state level. And then just even, we may have to redistrict as well, depending on what happens. That's what happened in the 2010 census. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that decision has been made, and I'm not sure how that's all going to work out, and how if it's going to be a mandatory question that needs to be asked in order to be counted, to be answered in order to be counted, but that's sort of a wait and see, but the announcement was made today. I want to give you an update. I'm waiting for Dara Parker from Heinrich's office to contact me about the update on the F-16s. I haven't heard anything, but I did get from the Washington office that she would contact me and the council about that issue as soon as there's more additional information. And number 3, I was thankful to a number of folks in District 1 who mentioned that there were construction trucks heavy with bearing loads of dirt and everything. And I know that, let me finish this real quick, that we're in our neighborhood, and I'm going to ask Manager Brown to talk a little bit about this, that we want to make sure that he's going to explain what's going on in the different areas. We want to make sure that if you want to report to someone, it's going to be faster if you go on the web and report a pothole. Use that and say you've got construction trucks. And if you could just briefly, before I go to number 4 on my list, just briefly, Manager Brown, could you explain that we have all these things going on, and Councilor Cano had mentioned about Kimberly as well?
Right now, Monday, I guess, we had 3 projects start. College, the affordable housing facility up at the old hospital property, and Highway 15. The only project that we actually have any control of was College. So, I can give you the traffic plans at any time directly. I got the report about the trucks going through residential areas today. Ed checked into it, yesterday. Ed contacted the contractor and found out that they're moving dirt from the site to 2 different locations. One is Little Walnut, and one is, I believe, in Arenas Valley. So the ones going to Arenas Valley can't turn east on 180 off of the Juniper site, so they have to go through the neighborhoods back to Swan Street to get Swan onto 180. So on Highway 15, Council Cano, we didn't have any control over the detour routes that they chose. In fact, we tried very hard because Silver Street is most likely going to start next week. And we tried to coordinate with them on Silver Street and Highway 15 because Silver Street is actually one of their detours for Highway 15. Kimberly, those neighborhood roads, probably what we're going to start doing is increasing the patrols in those areas, especially in the morning and afternoon for the school areas, because that's when it really gets busy. So we'll be looking at those things. And so, yeah, we've got those 3 big projects. Each one is going to change. Like right now, on Highway 15, they're working on North 15 from 32nd Street down to Pine. We originally were told that they were going to start from Pine down to 180. And we didn't find out that they had changed to the northern part of the project until they actually started the construction. So, those things, if people have questions about 15, the old hospital property, report a pothole, and we can check on it and respond a lot quicker. And then if they call you guys, then you guys call us, and I call you and tell you, and then you call them back. We can email straight back and forth. And two, things are going to be changing as each project evolves. Highway 15, a good example is they'll move down to the southern part of it, and it's going to be a lot tighter, a lot harder to have any through traffic there. And so you're going to have more detours at that time. On the old hospital property, once they're done moving the dirt that they need to move out of there, then we're not going to have any of those problems anymore of having those big vehicles in the residential areas. College Street, we shouldn't have a lot of problems with that one because it's pretty much way out on its own. We were more worried about the student traffic up there than the residential, because it mostly will affect the residents on College mainly, not the side streets, as the Silver and Highway 15 is going to affect a ton of people, the entire part of town, basically. So, report the pothole, we will get back to you as soon as we can, usually within the day.
And report to us if needed, and we'll forward it to you. I want to thank the chief as well, because the chief also worked on that with you and making sure that, but I just want to making sure that things were being done properly. I think folks just need to know that if you report, we can do something about it. So if you have a complaint, let us know, and we can try to do what we can do, except for the designated routes that the Department of Transportation did, that we don't have any control over that through the neighborhoods. But if they're speeding, they're not stopping, and they're doing stuff, that's the sort of thing that we need to make sure we know about. Then kind of attached to that is the email that I received, and I understand from Councilor Amy Smith that she received some concern too regarding the dumping of fill from the hospital site around the Ursa Minor, Ursa Major area where there's private property, and concern with drainage and potential mudslides if we ever get rain again. We got some last night, and we got a little snow today. It just didn't do much, but that, and then potentially going over Little Walnut, where the two of us, our two districts kind of meet right there, and then going down into that residential area. And I know that Councilor Amy Smith, if there's any questions, but if you could explain what you found out, because I think you had some folks look at it, right?
Yeah, I talked to Bud Mulaney, he's our floodplain engineer, and last year, when we had the problem with that issue, he worked with the Fowler brothers, who own that property that all the clean fill is being dumped into. And I believe that they fixed the problem back then. And all the new material that's been taken up there, it's being moved to the very back of what they fixed and pushed over the back end, so none of that's going to be drawn down if we have any rains.
Okay.
So we shouldn't have a problem with that. But I can't, the way we've been having these 100-year rains 2 or 3 times a year, I can't promise anything because you're only designed to having a 100-year rain once 100 years.
So should people, if something like that happens and there is flooding, what would you recommend?
Just let dispatch know right away if they're having
If they're having mud and
mud and
having stuff coming in?
Have dispatch, call dispatch. Dispatch will call the streets if it's during the day. Police and stuff, if necessary, will get out there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Councilor Kano.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one thing. I would like to remind everyone that my district will be hosting the first Territorial Charter Day Volunteer Day. Again, it'll be on Saturday, April 14th from 10 to 2. And all the volunteers are to meet at Ibarra Park, which is on the corner of Corbin and Yankee Streets. And there'll be 2 projects available. One will be a playground cleanup, and the other one will be a gardening opportunity at the Volunteer Center. And I just want to thank Assistant Manager James Marshall because he's taken the lead on getting all of this coordinated, and I really appreciate his work on this, as well as Gary Staley and the co-directors of the Volunteer Center, Kristen Lundgren and Dr. Sam Strang. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. Tomorrow, we will be having a flag ceremony at Gulf Park, and it's going to be for the Vietnam veterans, and it'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I hope you guys can make it there. And also, we are going to do a pilgrimage walk from Pinos Altos Church up to top on Cross Mountain, and it hasn't been done in years. And so we're going to be doing that on Good Friday, and hopefully some of you can make it. Mr. Fisher, I hope you can make it. It's a good walk. We'll start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'll meet there at church in Pinos Altos. And we redid the church in Pinos Altos this past year, so we will be having more services there. One more thing, and Mr. Skellen, may I have your help if I do something wrong, please? I would like to have some sort of language for the next town council meeting, and seeing if we can change the meetings of the town council from Tuesday nights to Tuesday mornings. But I would like to have public input, and I would like to have staff input also, if possible. I understand that it might take an NOI to do it. Also, I did take the privilege into asking here at the county the availability of the building, and it is open on Tuesdays. I would like to see if it's possible to do it. And hopefully, maybe the next town council meeting, I can have something in concrete. It's just an idea, so maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work.
Thank you. Any other council comments? I don't have any comments, but this is a good time, Councilor Ray, to at least sample public input. Of those of you that are here tonight, who could have come to a morning meeting? When would that be, Councilor Ray?
I would say probably about between 9 and 10 in the morning.
On the same day?
On the same day.
Between 9 and 10 this morning. How many of you would have come to a town council meeting? Okay, thank you. An unofficial poll.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes of the March 16, 2018 regular meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Aaron Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of March 16th, 2018.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion stated.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is public input. I see there are 5 people who have signed up. First was Raul Terrieta.
Good afternoon. Mayor, Council. My name is Raul Torrieta, and I'm here as a United States Navy veteran. And from Commander General, U.S. Army White Sands Missile Range, March 25th, 2018, the year that was marked 29th Annual Bataan Memorial Death March. The Bataan Memorial Death March honored over 75,000 Americans and Filipino soldiers that surrendered on the invasion of the Japanese forces in April of 1942. After the month the Japanese captured, marched the heroes over 60 miles as prisoners of war in their camps. Some 10,000 soldiers died more than by the captivity. We owe these men the gratitude, and we need to find a way to repay on what they did for us. We also owe the support of those who came home and healed of the vision of the unscreened and unscaled war. I actually attended the march this Sunday. There was 8,200 marchers. There was amazing people that you walked through the march itself. I heard about it. I've always wanted to see if I could do it. I've done a lot of crazy things in my life, but I'm just going to tell you this. That was the biggest honor for me, walking the 26.2 miles on sand, hard terrain, and meeting the most amazing people on this walk. I would just like to say, I would like to honor all veterans that are serving and that have served. And once I found out the feeling, the heart, the crying that went on this walk was just totally amazing. I would just like to give a great big pat in the back for a couple individuals that I was out there with. A young lady by the name of Linda Harris Rouse, her daughter Jocelyn Rouse were my inspirations in the last 3 miles. I'll admit, it was one of the most rugged things I've ever done in my life. And a young lady by the name of Mickey Courtney, and once again, I just had to express my concern, my feeling, and I had so many contacts about doing this march. I thank you, like I said, in April of 1942, the Bataan Death March. Thank you very much, Sir Mayor.
Thank you. Next is Jackie Blurton.
Greetings, Mayor and councilors and staff, and if I may, I have some maps I'd like to pass out for everybody. I'm Jackie Blurton, and I'm a board member of the Southwest New Mexico Audubon Society, and I'm here tonight to report on our last Audubon field trip on March 20 down the trail in San Vicente Creek. And at the January 8th Town Council meeting, I reported our concern about extensive ATV use on town property in San Vicente Creek. ATVs have widened what once was a hiking and mountain bike trail into an ATV track, which leaves the dirt trail surface rubbly and rocky, and they've also beaten wide tracks in the vegetation in the creek bottom itself. And I know some of this is Silver City property and some is private property. The trail meanders through all the various ownerships. After my public comment in January, Dustin Ganader put no ATV allowed signs and repaired the gate that blocks the road down to the creek from the trailhead underneath the Highway 90 bridge. And he also fenced off the trailhead at the end of Corbin Street and put up proper signage, and both locations have a fence that allows hikers and mountain bikers to pass through, so I'd like to thank Dustin for that work. And on our March 20th field trip, we found more ATV damage. Unfortunately, ATVs have free and clear access to the lower section of the creek near the southeast corner of the San Vicente Farms LLC at the old railroad abutment. And at one time, there were 3 locked gates there that were owned by the town in that location and prevented vehicle access to the town property in the lower end of the creek. And I understand that 2 of these gates have been donated to the town by private individuals. And the gate at the abutment is gone, and the gate at the dirt road about 50 yards west of the abutment has been pulled back along the fence, and piles of dirt prevent it from being closed. Another gate at the old railroad bed south of the abutment was taken off its hinges and laying on the ground. And these are expensive, heavy pull gates. These gates may have been opened during construction of the new sewer lines in the area. And with the gates gone or in disrepair and no signage, this area and the lower end of the creek is a wide open invitation to ATVs. And I feel that if the town replaces and repairs the gates and locks them as should be and installs the no ATV signs, there would be a decrease in damage to the creek bottom. And I also feel that the town should evaluate the vehicle access to the town property that has been created in the process of the sewer project, and take action to prevent people from driving the ATVs in on the city property in the creek bottom. And the trail is promoted by our visitors as an attraction in the town and is on the map at the new kiosk at the visitor center. And I talked to 3 people I found hiking on the trail that day with their dogs. And they really love the trail and the open space, but they're very concerned about the ATV tracks and the trash and litter that have accumulated. And the San Vicente Creek is one of the jewels of our Silver City's open space, and we want very much for it to be protected and properly cared for. And the creek is an important wildlife habitat, especially for birds. Our Southwest New Mexico Audubon Board is asking that you preserve San Vicente Creek by repairing the gates and evaluating and closing off access to the creek bottom from the residential streets. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Chris Overlock.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is a brochure of San Vicente Creek that I got from the Visitor Center. A friend showed me the San Vicente Creek trailhead when I was thinking of moving here. It was very impressive and one of the things that inspired me to move to Silver City this past January. Last Tuesday, with Jackie and others, I returned to hike along the trail. And I must say that San Vicente Cienega is a delightful trail. It's right in the city, but it feels a million miles away. There are magnificent cottonwoods and other native plants, trees, and wildlife that line the waterway. I understand Silver City has invested a lot of time and money into restoring this riparian gem, and that was money well spent. I'm grateful that the work has been done. But unfortunately, past efforts are jeopardized by the lack of appropriate maintenance. Rogue, illegal ATV and trail bike usage threatens this peaceful city-owned oasis. Evidence of habitat destruction is unavoidable to this untrained eye. I believe action is needed. Gates are left open and unlocked, and signage is practically non-existent. I have nothing against off-road vehicles in a proper setting, but San Vicente is not the place. The Gila National Forest has about 3,000 miles available for off-highway vehicles, so it's not like there aren't any other places to ride. Taking corrective action to close gates and post signage would be very helpful in avoiding continued degradation of this resource that we all value so much. The trail system in and around Silver City is tremendous. Let's keep it that way. The city hosts many visitors drawn to events and encourages those visitors to stick around. Having a vital trail system is one way visitors can enjoy our city for longer stays. And I don't have a bunch of copies, but I went down near the ballpark area, and there's like one sign here saying the road's closed and the gate's closed, but about 100 feet away, there's another gate that's wide open, and it leads back into a road that this gate is supposed to be closed off for. So it needs some attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Indigo Quinn.
Hi, my name is Indigo Quinn Crockett, and I'm a 9th grader at Aldo Leopold Charter School. I'm here tonight because I'm concerned about the safety issue of the illegal ATV use in San Vicente Creek. Currently, our school has limited capacity, and many times we go to other locations to carry out our daily school activities. Our class goes to San Vicente Creek about once every 2 weeks or so to do our daily work and also to play in the creek and look at the wildlife. My school highly values the forest access that is available to us, and San Vicente Creek is a very important space for our experientially education-based charter. I'm concerned that ATVs could potentially cause safety issues with many students along the creek. We don't want any ATVs rushing by us or disturbing us by the sound they make. I have not seen any ATVs yet where we go. However, I have seen ATV tracks in the area that my class visits. And if their activity is not addressed, it is only a matter of time before they come to our location, either while we are there or by disrupting the soil more, the vegetation and eroding the bank and making the beautiful creek unsightly. Please make the suggested fence and gate repairs for the creek safe, to keep the creek safe and beautiful for myself, my classmates, and for others wishing to use the valued and highly used area. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Fugel?
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. My name is Carrie Fugali, and I'm a resident of Silver City, and I'm also an ornithologist. I live 2 blocks from San Vicente Creek, and I take walks there several times a week, enjoying the wildlife and quiet reprieve from the noise of the city streets. One main reason why my husband and I moved to this area is due to the high biological diversity that we cherish. There are a couple bird species I would like to bring to your attention that are unique not only to San Vicente Creek, but to this region. The first is the common black hawk that was seen at San Vicente Creek 1 week ago. Despite its name, it is not common, at least not in the United States. This raptor is an uncommon summer visitor in the Southwest, breeding in undisturbed riparian corridors, mostly in Arizona and New Mexico. The Gila and Members Rivers is blessed to have one of the highest concentrations of this bird of prey in the United States. The common blackhawk perches in mature trees adjacent to a stream or river in search for its main food source, which is fish, frogs, snakes, and crayfish. And there actually has been a breeding pair of common blackhawks in the San Vicente Creek for a number of years now. This species has a low productive rate to begin with, and will frequently abandon the nest site from too much human activity. I have no doubt that ATV use will highly disrupt this bird's activity and easily could cause a nest failure, not to mention the increased agitation of the creek of ATVs crossing would have a negative impact on its food source. Another sensitive bird species is the powerful northern goshawk that was also seen along the creek just a couple weeks ago. Some people have nicknamed this bird the sports car of the bird world, since it is able to maneuver around trees and branches at high speed, hunting medium-sized birds in ambush. This exhibitor breeds in higher elevations of the Gila National Forest and waterways, and is also seen along the waterways in San Vicente Creek, and is vital for individuals who drop to lower elevations in the cold months when food source becomes scarce. The population of northern goshawk has been declining throughout its range in North America's forests and is now listed as sensitive in New Mexico. Right now, as I speak, there is a nesting pair of great horned owls along the creek, as well as numerous other species of arriving migrating warblers, finches, sparrows, and hosts of other birds that will definitely be impacted with the ongoing ATV use. I am thankful of the work that you already have accomplished in blocking the creek off from ATV use and the no ATV signs that have been placed. But there still is some work to be done, since ATVs have access to the lower portion of the creek. I appreciate your consideration and action regarding the gate and fence repair to keep our creek beautiful and vigorous for our bird species that many of our residents value. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councilor Bedison?
Mr. Mayor, I move for a short break.
We have a motion for a short break. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion.
Councilman Smith. All in favor of a short break, say aye.
Aye.
We will take exactly 10-minute break. I'm calling our meeting back to order. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 12A under new business. That was earlier this evening moved up to immediately follow public input. Agenda item 12A is the approval/disapproval of the Town of Silver City audit report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2017. Mr. Brown?
Mayor and Council, it's required that the auditor make a presentation on the audit, and here's Mike Stone of Stone McGee.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to be back. Okay, couple of things I'd like to go over with you. I'll be brief. First of all is some people would think that town of Silver City is relatively small, and I guess in relation to the city of Albuquerque, it probably is. But you guys, your staff, and you guys manage in excess of $70 million worth of assets. That shows up in the audit report. I think it's important to know that the opinion that we expressed on your financial statements was unmodified, which is as high an opinion as you can get, okay? Also, we expressed an unmodified opinion on your compliance with federal regulations for your federal grants, again, as high as it can get. Those are the two benchmarks by which you get judged in Santa Fe, so to speak. I think it's important that you recognize how difficult it is when you've got as many funds as this city does that they have to track because of the various projects that some of which the counselors cause, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you have lots of funds. Money has to be tracked in a lot of different directions. And I believe that the town is doing an excellent job of doing that, tracking those funds in the correct directions with their financial staff. As to comments, the first one, and the only one that's really of any importance, has been discussed, repeated, beaten to death. In terms of the alleged fraud, you've had a special report on it. We've had extensive newspaper coverage on it. I don't really have anything else to add. What we found, what was relayed to us, we didn't find it. What was relayed to us by staff, we reported in the audit report. At that point in time, the city staff took immediate action, did what they were supposed to do, and have followed through, and I think it was a bad situation, but it's one that has, the town reacted, management and council reacted appropriately, did the right thing, notified the state auditor, did everything that they could do at that point in time. So the only other comment that we had was we had one instance where we had awarded a contract under the state guidelines, which says that they're a state-approved contractor. Well, they were, but they were from the wrong state. So they weren't in New Mexico, they were Texas, I believe. But they had said they were a state contractor, and we didn't find it out till later. It was a single instance and is not a big deal. Other than that, I would just like to say that congratulations to council and staff for receiving an unmodified opinion, and I'm available now or anytime if any of the counselors or anybody has questions.
Any questions? Councilor Bettis?
I want to thank Mr. McGee and you for this and all of our staff. I appreciate the way the audit report specifically says that these instances that you mentioned those things have been addressed so that they won't happen again. And I think the public needs to clearly understand that staff has taken and management has taken the steps to ensure that these sorts of things don't happen again, and there's additional checks in place to per your recommendations, and I think the special audit as well. I don't know if Manager Brown wants to say anything, but I just want to thank our staff for everything that they've been doing and to work with you, and thank you again, Mr. Stone.
Thank you.
Yeah, other questions or comments?
I want to say thank you to Mike and his counterparts at Stone McGee, because what I really like about working with Stone McGee is that they're accessible all year long. So whenever we've got a question or we're up against a rock and a hard place trying to figure out the right way to deal with something, they're always available. So I really appreciate that. And yes, staff has gone back and reviewed all of our policies, and we're going to bring some updates for the council to approve in the next few months. Those deficiencies didn't specifically cause the embezzlement or alleged embezzlement, but we could have done things that could have caught it, that may have caught it. So we just want to make the best practices we can possibly make. So I appreciate all the staff, Anita and everybody in the finance department, for the work that they do all year long, and the last few months updating our policies too as well. So I
Thank you. Does the council have any more comments or questions?
I would just like to say one thing. Remember, this is an action item, and so you guys will have to vote on it. I hope everybody says yes, because I don't want to start all over again. Okay?
Councilor comment?
I move to approve of the Town of Silver City audit report for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2017.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second? Councilor Ray?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Stone.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is reports. The first report is by the Silver City Regional Association of Realtors, will be presented by Sissy McAndrew, President.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, staff. I am the president this year, and we have a strategic plan for our association, and part of that is really providing information out to the community. So I'm hoping that we can do this on a quarterly basis. You receive some information. As far as our statistics, I want to thank Kim Clark for putting that together. It's not an easy task. She has to crack the whip and be sure everybody gets their information in time. But I also wanted to let you know that we are called the Silver City Regional Association of Realtors, but we also handle pretty much Catherine County. We go down into Hidalgo County, some listings over outside of Deming. So we actually are a very large area, and we have 60 realtors that are presently members, and then we also have affiliates such as appraisers and inspectors and other people that are also members of our association. We are doing quite well. If you'll notice on that chart, 2017 was the best year we'd had since 2007. And I really want to attribute this and thank Google, because we no longer are really as a town doing hybrid marketing like we used to. We used to have tourism and relocation mixed together. There's really no relocation advertising out there anymore, but when somebody goes out on Google and they're looking at a certain climate that they want, wonderful climate like ours, and they're looking for a great community, we come up to the top of the search. And so we are getting a lot of people that are coming here. They've either heard of our community before. We're even getting people that maybe their child has walked the Continental Divide Trail. and they said, gee, Mom and Dad, you should go see this town, it's really great. So we've got a lot going for us. We've also been working with community development. We helped work on the comprehensive plan. We are doing a lot with downtown. We have challenges right now, as you all know, with the vacant buildings. And one of our biggest problems with those vacant buildings, and even some that are occupied, are the roofs. I ran into an attorney yesterday that was asking me, how do you handle when you have a shared roof line? And so these are things we are having a lot of activity downtown. The talk is that we're energized. I want to thank the previous city council from years back that came up with the historic zoning and allowed us to move forward in that, because we are getting a lot of sales with people that are looking at doing live workspaces. We're also coordinating with the town as far as having the fire department come over and tell people what they're going to need to do in order to have a multi-use space, and that's huge. We are working together. That's going fantastic. As far as the sales, of course, we're not quite to the end of the first quarter, so I had to call up the title companies today and ask them how much they're trying to close here in the next couple of days. And it's a real challenge because the clerk's office was closed the first 3 days of this week, and of course they have to be open in order to record the sales. And then title companies are closed on Friday, so we have basically 1 day this week to get our work done. And the sales this year for the first quarter are very, very close to last year. Land sales are down a little, but happily commercial sales are up. And we are seeing more buildings. We presently have about 12 commercial buildings in the downtown area that are on the market. We are seeing businesses not only purchase those buildings, but we're also seeing a shift in businesses that are moving, say, down from the side streets and onto Bullard or over to Broadway. So there's a lot of activity, and when tourists are coming through, they're feeling that. I also want to compliment you on the work with the Silco Theater. I always felt that was going to be a key energizer for downtown, and if you go downtown at night, which I drive through just to put a smile on my face, it is active. It's hard to find a parking spot downtown, not just during lunch now, but also in the evenings. Building codes are a key component. We're concerned about public safety. Our new seller's disclosure, which is required for basically any building that we're selling, at least my office, it's not a state requirement, but more and more sellers are providing those. And those go back, and the one thing that's really key is they let people know that the permits have been pulled and that they had licensed contractors do the work. And that's something that's key, because if somebody's been doing it on their own, and we start having fires or something else, it's a real problem. Also with flood insurance, we are seeing new areas flood that we've never seen before. The insurance companies are doing a good job of working with folks, and luckily the federal government has moved the budget forward to a point that we will have ongoing insurance up until July 31st. This is something that the National Association of Realtors is there in Washington trying to be sure that we can continue to have this for people. Cyber hacking is a key concern for us. That is actually when people are wiring their down payments, so it's a national problem, and we're trying to encourage our people to not send any money until they're talking to the title company directly or talking to the office. Don't believe what you read on an email. Also, the safety of the realtors. We've luckily been pretty lucky here, but that's always a concern when you're going out to meet people at properties, and it's something that we continue to try to talk to our members about to stay safe. Following up on fair housing, we will be having a Fair Housing Expo on April 26th from 4 to 6 at the Conference Center. We've been working with Representative Dow, and she's coordinated with USDA, Department of Agriculture, Habitat for Humanity will be there, different lenders and different vendors. And so we're really trying to help people have a one-on-one interaction and understand what is available to them as far as fair housing and low-income housing. Are there any questions at all?
Thank you, Sissy and Kim, for being here.
Sure thing. We'll be back in July and present the second quarter for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under staff reports, Mr. Brown, what do you have?
I was going to talk about the construction projects, but I already did that. Ed's got a little bit that he wanted to. You got 2 minutes.
Mayor, City Council, just a quick follow-up comment on State Road 15 and the signage. Just to back up some of the issues, we have a lot of traffic on that roadway. Signage has changed, especially at the Pine and New Mexico 15. It's now a four-way stop. People need to be paying attention to that stop sign as they're heading north on New Mexico State Road 15. I was over there yesterday observing, there's a number of vehicles that failed to stop at that stop sign. You probably didn't even see it. I mean, it's a big stop sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to start picking up enforcement in that construction zone. Not only the stop signs, but also speeding. People need to understand that the fine could possibly be increased because it is a construction zone. Slow down, pay attention to the stop signs. We don't want any accidents in that area. We will start enforcing. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Brown, anything else?
James wants to talk a little bit about code enforcement, the status of code enforcement.
Mayor and council, we've been getting quite a bit of comments and concern as we've had the code enforcement position posted for quite some time. And I wanted to reassure you that the work is still getting done. Staff has absorbed it. So a little bit of the numbers for the year. There's been 28 code enforcement complaints for the year, and there is currently 7 that are remaining open. 2 of them are remaining open from last year. The rest have all been either closed or were found to not be an actual violation per our code. One of them, camping in the big ditch, will probably just remain a resident on this list because it's a recurring issue. The non-resident owners is a huge problem. Hence the 2 that are still on the list from last year. We have one over in District 4 right now that we're working very hard to try to make some sort of line of communication with. I drove by on my way here and most of the rubbish is off the property. So I have a feeling that they're getting the message, they're just not communicating. And these are people that live in Las Vegas, Nevada. So they were up to a citation and we couldn't get a firm identifier, social security, date of birth, something affirmative that the judge could issue a summons to and not get the wrong person. So we now have that. And we've worked with the police department, code enforcement, animal control, and all working together trying to address some of these cases. And many of them, animal control and code enforcement, have a lot of similarities in root cause. So that's where we are with the numbers. We are addressing the complaints. We're not doing a lot of proactive, just out there patrolling, looking for violations. And we hope soon to bring you a really good solution going forward for a long-term issues in dealing with code enforcement and many other things.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Brown? Just a quick question. over the course of the next year, with all of the heavy trucks and machinery going over the city streets and roads, that's got to have a negative impact. Does the state have any sort of pot that helps communities repair what they mess up?
No, they don't. It's all handled through the grant process. That's the only way we can get money from them is through grants. And, we'll continue. We submitted, one of the ones that are going to be hit pretty hard is 32nd Street. We submitted an application through the we submitted that resolution at the last council meeting to submit the application. And I forget the name of the grant program. But we've identified those roads, so we're looking at 32nd Street bypass right now. And then Colonias next year, we're going to apply for Ridge Road because of the sewer project that's happened and all the garbage trucks that goes over Ridge Road. So we do some of our grant applications based on what's happening with other things.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is 9, organizational meeting. I and the town council, as governing body of the town of Silver City, want to welcome the town manager, Alex C. Brown, the town clerk, A&L Mackey, and the town attorney, Robert L. Scalvaron, to this administration. I also wish to confirm and welcome all department heads, chiefs, and current employees who will continue as public servants of the town. Thanks to you all. And on a personal note, I would like to congratulate Councilors Cano and Amon Smith for their re-election to the City Council, and say that it has been a very positive experience for me to work with this entire council over the past 2 years, and I'm looking forward to that good relationship continuing throughout the next 2 years. You all have been an inspiration to me in your dedication to the progress and overall welfare of our fair city. It is because of your willingness to generously give of your time and talents that we as a community continue to move forward in our quest to make Silver City an even better place to call home. I also want to thank Town Manager Alex Brown, Assistant Manager James Marshall, Town Attorney Robert Scalvaron, and our Town Clerk Ann Mackey for their impeccable style and high level of skill and professionalism which they bring to the everyday affairs of the town. I believe we all realize and acknowledge how pleasant and efficient it is to work with you all at City Hall. And personally, I have nothing but high marks to hand out in appreciation of the many ways in which you make my life easier. Our town is lucky beyond imagination to have such a top-notch staff, and I want you to know that I know that and remember this on a daily basis. And I would be remiss if I also didn't recognize all of the town employees who I like to refer to as the everyday heroes of Silver City. These are the folks who provide crucial services to the residents of our community, those who work in our police force department, fire and rescue department, the public works department, the museum, the library, the recycling program, the utilities department, parks and recreation, and community development. Thank you all for your dedicated service. The next item is 9A, the election of President Pro Tem. In my absence, the Mayor Pro Tem acts in my behalf and conducts the duties of Mayor and presiding officer of the Town Council. At this time, I will take nominations for the position of Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate Ms. Cynthia Pedersen, Councilor Pedersen, as I think she's been doing an excellent job that attended, I've been here, and attended, you've been here. So I think it's only, in my opinion, it's only right that we re-elect her again, or reappoint her again, if possible.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Councilman Smith?
No, sir, I move to close nominations.
Okay, we have a motion to close nominations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion to close nomination carries. Councilor Cynthia Ann Bedison has been nominated to serve as Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The voting is unanimous. Councilor Bedison, congratulations on being elected to serve as Mayor Pro Tem of the town of Silver City. Would you like to make a few comments?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I want to thank all of the town councilors for their faith in me to continue as I've been doing in the past. And I really appreciate the fact that I get to work with all of you. And congratulations again to Councilor Cano, Councilor Raymond Smith, and to you, Mayor, for your re-election. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to continuing to work with all of us together.
Thank you. Councilor Bedison has been elected to serve as Mayor Pro Tem. The next item is 9B, appointments of councilors to committee and board positions. The list of committees that the mayor and councilors currently serve on are listed on the sheet that was in your packet. Does everyone have a copy of that? Councilor Bedison serves on the museum board in an advisory role, and the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments as second alternate. Councilor Cano serves on the cemetery board in an advisory role. Councilor Amy Smith serves as library board in an advisory board, and also on the Area Transportation Authority Board. Councilor Ray serves on the Dispatch Board as an alternate, and the Parks and Recreation Board, and the Southwest Solid Waste Board as an alternate. And Mayor Ladner serves on the Dispatch Board, the Southwest Solid Waste Board, the Grant County Water Commission, and the Silver City Main Street Project Board as an ex officio member. If there are no objections, I would like to keep these assignments the same. So be it.
We might need to go ahead and appoint myself and James to the dispatch board because the JPA currently lists my position specifically, but as it's being changed right now, it doesn't specifically list my position. So if you could please appoint me and James as the backup to dispatch.
If there are no objections, I would make this appointment.
No objections.
So I know that James is on the board, but so I understand now.
He's my alternate that I've been sending to.
Okay. Ann, would you change the list of? Thank you. Since item 11A under new business has already been acted upon, the next item on the agenda is 11B, the approval/disapproval.
12B.
Huh?
12B.
Oh, 12B, the approval/disapproval of a public celebration permit application for the Red Dot Studio Tour opening reception to be held at 209 West Broadway Street, Silver City, New Mexico, on May 4, 2018, with alcohol service from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Liquor license holder is La Esperanza Vineyard, LLC, liquor license number 6148, 100 De La O, San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041. Who will be making this presentation? Would you please identify yourself and...
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councilor. Council, I am Diane Kleiss, and I am the president of the Silver City Art Association. And just a little background on that, we represent all the galleries, studios, and artists here in Silver City, and as of now, we have 95 members. We always have a gallery tour and a Red Dot studio tour, but this year, we're moving the studio tour from October to May. And we're going to try a spring tour for the first time. And so we wanted to have a special event to promote this, and hopefully with an extra day on Friday, the tour will be Saturday and Sunday, the 5th and 6th, that we can get more people into town and make a bigger celebration in the 3-day event. And so we decided to have this at 209 Broadway, which an artist from Tucson, Karen Heimer, is going to have that building as her photography, gallery, and studio. So she has given us permission to rent that. And so the kickoff event is going to be on May 4th. And so in this process, we decided to have the winery, Esperanza, and the Duck Stop for the food. And we're also going to hang all of the artwork for the artists on the tour, so that hopefully people will come and see the art and then be able to make decisions to go out and visit the studios on this tour. So this is our big event, and we're hoping it will be successful. And we thank David from Esperanza Winery for stepping up and being present at our celebration. I think that's all I have to say. Are there any questions about this event?
Any questions for the council? Councilman Smith?
I actually just have a clarification question. Is that addressed the same place where the print Fiesta hung all of their goods?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. I also have the check for the permit application fee here, and I think I give it to Ann then. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion? Councilor Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve of the public celebration permit application for the Red Dot Studio Tour opening reception to be held at 209 West Broadway Street, Silver City, New Mexico, on May 4th, 2018, with alcohol service from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Liquor license holder, La Esperanza Vineyard, LLC. Liquor license number 6148, 100 de la O, San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilor Edison?
Mr. Mayor, second motion is stated.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions or comments from the general public? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is 12C, the approval/disapproval of a public celebration permit application and a waiver of NMSA 1978, Section 60-68-10 for alcohol sales near a church or school for the Continental Divide Trail Day event at the Seed Boat Gallery, 214 West Yankee Street, Silver City, New Mexico, on April 27, 2018, with alcohol service from 3:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Liquor license holder, La Esperanza Vineyard, LLC, liquor license number 6148, 100 De La O, San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041. Jenny, are you going to make that one?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much, Mayor. So we talked a little bit about the Trail Days event earlier this evening, but in case anyone here is unfamiliar, it is a 3-day festival. This year, we will be celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Continental Divide Trail. So the trail has been running through Silver City for the past 40 years. As of right now, it's 95% protected, and our organization is all about making the push to protect that final 5% of the trail. Part of the community outreach that we do to accomplish this is the Trail Days Festival. On Friday and Saturday, we'll be having presentations and seminars educating people about topics related to the Continental Divide Trail. That will be at WNMU. On Saturday, we will have a booth expo with gear companies who travel from all over the country. That will also be held at WNMU. And on Friday, we traditionally have a sort of happy hour and celebration where we welcome everybody, all of the hikers who are coming to Silver City for the event. Mayor Ladner himself will hopefully be joining us in welcoming them. Traditionally, we have had this event at the Little Toad Creek Brewery and Distillery. However, we noticed last year that the number of attendees had outgrown that venue. So this year we are moving it to the Speedboat Gallery. It's going to be a very fun evening. We will have speeches and door prizes. We will have the Illusion Band playing, and we are requesting your permission to have the fine folks at La Esperanza serve alcohol at that event.
Thank you. Does the council have any questions? Thank you. Do I hear a motion? Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve a public celebration permit application and a waiver of NMSA 1978, Section 60-6B-10 for alcohol sales near a church or school for the Continental Divide Trail Day event at the Speedboat Gallery, 214 West Yankee Street, Silver City, New Mexico, on April 27, 2018, with alcohol service from 3:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Liquor license holder, La Esperanza Vineyard LLC, liquor license number 6148, 100 de la O, San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041.
Thank you. Councilor Kano?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that motion as stated.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions or comments from the general public? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next agenda item is 12D, the approval/disapproval of a public celebration permit application and a waiver of NMSA 1978, Section 60-6B-10 for alcohol sales near a church or school for the Tour of the Gila VIP reception to be held at the Hub, 601 North Bullard Street, Silver City, New Mexico, on April 23rd, 2018, with alcohol service from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Liquor license holder, Little Toad Creek LLC, DBA, Little Toad Creek Brewery, liquor license number 67085, 203 South Mill Road, Silver City, New Mexico, 88061. Mr. Brennan?
Good evening, Councilor, Mayor and Council and staff. I'm Jack Brennan, Race Director for Tour of the Gila. Just a quick question. The event we propose having is on April 21st, not the 23rd. Is that the way it's written in the...
It's written on the 21st. Did I say 23rd?
You did, yes.
Okay, pardon that. It's the 21st.
Okay, yeah, 21st. Yes, thank you. We've been having a VIP gathering at the Hub for the last number of years, and so we'd like to do it again this year with Little Toad Creek, and we're having hot food done by Chevy and Company. And basically the VIP gathering is for our major sponsors. It's an incredible and great spot to view the activities of the race throughout the afternoon. and it's always been a real enjoyable event for us. And it's been nice for us to bring our major sponsors into Silver City. PNM bringing sponsors or people down from Albuquerque to view the event. And it's always been a really great place for us to have folks have some refreshments and have some food to watch what's going on with the racing on Bullitt Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Any questions? Councilor Benson?
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to make sure that that it's gonna be similar to what you did in the past couple of years, where the riders are not coming necessarily in to sign.
Correct.
Things, that it's gonna be limited to just the folks that are there for the...
It'll be limited to the VIP tickets we hand out, yes.
I think that's worked very well.
Good. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the council? Do I hear a motion? Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve of a public celebration permit application and a waiver of NMSA 1978, Section 60-6B-10 for alcohol sales near a church or a school for a Tour de Vida VIP. Reception to be held at the Hub, 601 North Bullard Street, Silver City, New Mexico, on April 21st, 2018, with alcohol service from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Liquor license holder, Little Toad Creek LLC, DBA Little Toad Creek Brewery, liquor license 67085, 203 South Mill Road, Silver City, New Mexico, 88061.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilor Kama?
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion as stated.
Motion second. Any discussion? Any questions or comments from the general public? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Jack. The next agenda item is 12F, is a discussion of a request from Washington Federal Bank for direction on whether the town will renew its lease for the bank building at 1203 North Hudson Street, Silver City, New Mexico. Mr. Brown?
Mayor, Council. Back in 1997, the town purchased the bank from Bank of America. As part of the condition of the lease, of the sale, the town gave Bank of America 5 4-year lease options on the building. So they transferred the lease to Washington Federal when Bank of America left. And so Washington Federal, who is now on the final option, which has 2 years remaining, is requesting to know whether the town is going to renew the lease with them. So that they can start looking for another location in town that will work for them. So this provides us with an opportunity for us to decide what we want to do, because it's not just the bank building itself that we're leasing, it's also the drive-through area on the other side. There's a lot of things that could be done if we didn't lease it. We could expand the park, for one thing. We could just lease the bank and not the drive-through and expand the park. Or we could keep both of them and expand the park and maybe use the facility for something else. So we have a lot of options. Or we could just give them another lease without any options, so that it gives us more time to decide what we want to do in the future. So with that, I just wanted you to start thinking about it. I'd like to give them an answer within the next few months, so that they have some lead time if they need to purchase another property to build, because they told me that they wanted to stay in that area where they are now. So with that, do you have any questions?
Councilor Benson?
So, is the town staff gonna provide some recommendations? I mean, so you're saying like another 5 or 4 year term?
We don't have to do 4 years. It could be, we could just sign another additional 2 years, so it's 4 years from now that we've got to decide what we're going to do. We don't want to put them in a bind, we want them to give them time. But at the same time, we want to start publicly talking about what you guys want, what the council wants to do with that property, because it's right in the center of town. When we purchased the gas station, that was the last piece of that one block. So we now own that entire block. So it provides us with a lot of opportunities, and for the long term of the town. So
I guess one of the sort of like other questions would be, when you say expand the park, you mean to move a portion on the other side of 12th? Because for instance, like the Blues Festival is still held there, and it's certainly getting larger and larger with more vendors and things like that. So I guess,
I've been thinking about it for a long time, for a while. So there's options from closing 12th Street and using the whole thing as a park. Just for instance, taking the basketball court and moving it to the far end by the at the other end of the drive-through, because we have a lot of safety issues, that concerns that we have about the basketball court being next to that heavily used road. We could add some pickleball courts. We could add some handball courts on that side, and then just with the rest of it, expand the grass and the trees and picnic areas like that for the long term.
I guess I'd like to know some of the things you've been thinking about, what staff have been thinking about what would the time be for us to plan? Is there still an option to extend it out to them, but still begin the planning process, that if we are going to extend the park and move the location of the basketball courts, are we going to do something with additional parking if needed? There's that really nice area with the fruit trees and everything that's been planted over the past several years that, I appreciate having, and I know a lot of other people like having that little garden area right on the backside of the former Office of Sustainability over the gas station. So I think some of those sorts of things would be nice to kind of hear about over the next
few months.
The next 2 months, just to give us some things to think about. Mayor, that's what I was going to say, and I'm finished with that. So,
this pertains to Mrs. Calderon. What's the process for us to be able to discuss our ideas and make suggestions without violating the Open Meetings Act? So how would this process work? And I want to add to that. I would sure like to have enough time for public input into that area. I hear lots of people recommending more recreation for our youth, a place where our youth can gather and recreate. Even Santa Clara has a place in central downtown where kids can go and have fun. It's where families can gather. Park is nice, but activities make it even nicer. So my question
is, of course there would be public input. There needs to be some focus as to, first of all, the bank needs a good lead time if they're going to move out of there. Half of the building is used by town staff. The other half is by the bank. When the bank moved here, they knew that they were having a short lease because they were into the last extension of the original Bank of America lease. Discussing it without any options being given seems like the perfect opportunity, and I don't know if management wants to do it this way, but to do a task force, a specific task force looking at the potential uses with a deadline of when to give a report and have some liaison with the town council along the way. And then present it, because if it's not focused, it's going to go on and on. The bank's going to go nuts wanting to know what's going on, and they may just decide to move out, and then we have no options except to do something with a vacated building.
That's my next question, Mr. Brown. When they do move out, and if they move out, do you have plans for the rest of that building?
Some of City Hall's biggest problems are parking and access. We've looked at the bank itself, and does it have the capacity to move all the City Hall staff over there? It does. And it provides a lot better access to the community, to the building, to us. Yes, and so, that was one idea is to move the City Hall over there. And then to take the current City Hall and remodel it so that we could have it for another use, such as maybe an arts center or something like that, it could be used for, leave the offices upstairs, open up the bottom floor so that they could have exhibits, meetings, all kinds of events, where you don't necessarily need the amount of parking that we do need for City Hall. One of our biggest struggles every day at City Hall is finding a parking space. If I can't find a parking space on, Arizona next to City Hall, and I have to park on the other side, 90% of the time I walk to Arizona, I have to walk around the building to find my car. That happens to everybody, because we have the businesses on one side that don't want us parking there, we have the businesses on Broadway that don't want us parking there. So it's usually we're parking on the back and that's just employees, that's not customers. Customers constantly come in. The handicap space is blocked or being used. Most people that come into City Hall are seniors to pay their bills. And so a lot of times they're parking 2 or 3 blocks away and walking down to pay their bill. If you get your water turned off and you can't find a park, you're already mad, and then you can't find a parking space, so it's compounded by the time they get to City Hall. That's one of our biggest struggles as far as staff at City Hall. But if the council chooses to keep us there, we'll make do with what we have and work it out.
Tell us what the timeline, you said a couple of months, but can you kind of help us in terms of when the city needs to make a decision on that, and whether it's going to be a no lease or a short-term lease or whatever it might be?
I think we need to start talking about it in the next week or two. And I have, actually, Priscilla gave me some ideas of who I can talk to about getting some, because I think it's easy to think about things, but without seeing it on paper and having some like renderings of different options that we might look at, we can get those started and bring them back to you, so you can have an idea of what we might be able to do.
Thank you.
And we're ultimately 2 years may not be enough time for us to be ready to do something. So I've thought about it quite a bit, and I think giving them a short-term lease in another 2 years, basically, so it'd give us 4 years to get all of our ducks in a row and be ready as of when that's done. Because 2 years is a fairly short time to develop a project like that.
Yeah.
And they told me that they've been looking in the area, and it's been really hard to find anything. So, but if we give them 4 years, it'll give them enough time to.
I agree with that. Councilor Edison?
I do like that option, because I think it gives us more time to make sure we have public input, that the counselor that represents that area is someone that would be on the task force. I think that's really critical. I think that's Councilor Kano's area. And I think that if we have a number of meetings, that gives us time to have a number of meetings for town input from our residents. I think that, and from folks that use the park for various activities. I think that, that gives us a little bit of time. So I think the option of saying a short-term lease, it gives everybody time, including the bank.
You know, a good timeline, especially on a big project like this, would be for us to make give them the short-term lease, another couple years, and then give ourselves a deadline of 2 years. What are we going to do? Well, because I need at least 2 years to create the project, get ready for construction and all of that stuff, especially a project like that.
And to search for grants. If we can get anything.
Financing options, I've been looking at them.
Depending on what the actual decision is, there's a number of things that could be probably searched out to get. And I think that, personally, I like that. It gives us a little bit more time. It gives everybody the time and like I said, the public input, you know, a council liaison for the council person that's in that area. I think that's sort of a critical thing.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the council? Yes.
Maybe I can contact the bank representatives and pass the 2-year extension idea with them and see if they're amenable to it. And if they are, maybe I can ask them to submit an application for the extension, because we have to do the ordinance.
Right.
And so, you know, we could just go ahead and do the 2-year extension. That way we all know we've got 4 years. And because 2 years is not going to be enough time to develop the project, to get the idea and then to get ready for construction.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
If they're okay with it, can I bring it back in the next few council meetings?
Sure. Yes. Okay, this concludes the business of the town of Silver City. Do I hear a motion? Councilman Smith?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I segundo it.
All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is adjourned.